Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this. Amateur star from right here in the US of A, Kayla Gomez, has signed with Misfits Boxing. Misfits, you might be familiar with that brand. That's where you've seen faces like Tommy Fury and Dylan Dennis. I think I saw Logan Paul on there once, where a lot of social media influencers square off against each other. Misfits Boxing has announced they will now promote 18-time U.S. national champion Kayla Gomez. The news was announced via social media, collaborative post between Misfits Boxing and Gomez's Instagram accounts. Gomez marks the first professional woman to sign with Misfits Boxing. Misfits had previously been seen to be on the fringes of professional boxing, opting to pursue social media influencers. It seems they want to get a little bit more serious by signing Kayla. Gomez includes a distinguished amateur career that saw her win 9 international tournaments, including a gold medal at the 2021 Junior Pan American Games. She last competed in December, losing in the finals to Jocelyn Perez in the 119-pound division at the USA National Championships in Richmond, Virginia. Kayla's a serious fighter, not the kind of fighter you normally see on a Misfits show. So what left them so inclined to sign a serious boxer? I think it has something to do with Jake Paul and Most Valuable Promotions. That while Jake Paul himself is a social media influencer, moonlighting as a boxer, his endeavor into the world of boxing is not comprised of social media influencers. He signed several serious boxers, distinguished ones like Amanda Serrano, amateur standout Tamara Thibault. I saw him sign a number of kids from the island of Puerto Rico, Crystal Rosario among them. What Jake Paul is doing on the promotional end of it is very much a serious endeavor into the world of boxing. He's signing serious fighters, and perhaps the people at Misfits see this and they want to step it up too. They want to get a little bit more serious too. I think he influenced them, hence them signing an amateur standout like Kayla Gomez, 21, whose moniker is The Truth, accrued many stoppage victories, which isn't common in amateur boxing, especially in women's boxing. Gomez, who is from El Paso, Texas, joins other notable amateur standouts who signed last year to Misfits Boxing, including Amir Anderson, Jahan Ingram, and Dylan Price. Gomez also has 62,000 followers on her Instagram alone at the time of this signing. To date, Misfits Boxing has focused more on influencer and crossover boxing, pitting social media stars and MMA fighters against one another. The company, founded by British influencer KSI, a Jake Paul wannabe, and operated by Mams Taylor, Kale, and Nisei Sauerland, adds an interesting new option for where young fighters could potentially sign, as Gomez is a top prospect in women's boxing. A date for her professional debut has not yet been set. This is experimental. A more serious endeavor into the world of promotion by signing serious fighters, that if you can promote a couple of social media influencers based on their following online, you might actually be able to promote some legitimate boxers. Sprinkle that into your shows. And you never know, you may just hit pay dirt. Young Kayla Gomez campaigns in the bantamweight division. Bantamweight, at least in the paid ranks, that's 118 pounds. That's where Shernika Johnson holds the WBA, Sharita Metcalf holds the IBF, and the other two belts, those two are held by Dina Thorsland. So this is likely where young Kayla is going to be debuting, though having not made her professional debut yet, it will be some time and some fights before she's ready to challenge for an alphabet title. Enough that some titles might go vacant, some fighters might move up in weight, you never really know. Though, because of her distinguished amateur background, she can move a bit faster than somebody else.
So how long do you give her?
Before she's ready to fight for a title? I'd give her a minimum of 2 years. 2.5.
Yeah.
An advantageous pairing because signing a fighter like Kayla allows Misfits to branch out a little more into the more serious world of boxing, and for Kayla, it's exposure. Remember what their whole shtick is. It's social media influencers, a lot of people with a lot of followers spread across a lot of platforms. So when you're boxing on these shows, you're indirectly getting the spillover. An audience that may not otherwise take in a boxing match, a conventional one, may be exposed to you for you having boxed on that show. And in a very general sense, it's good to see that yet another promotional outfit out there is making an investment, an endeavor into women's boxing. That it's not just Matchroom, and it's not just Boxer, it's not just Queensbury, it's Most Valuable Promotions, it's Misfits, Golden Boy Promotions, who promote Female Fighter of the Year in the previous year, Gabby Fundora. It's good. That another outfit is signing female talent, it's good. Now I'm just curious to see what kind of fighter Kayla Gomez is, because this ain't the amateurs, this is the pros.
See what she's made of.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, veteran boxing scribe Cynthia Conte says, a very reliable source told me that Devin Haney has officially dropped his lawsuit against Ryan Garcia if he agrees to do VADA testing, and Ryan Garcia has agreed, thus the rematch is on. We know that this past weekend, both Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney were in attendance for the inaugural Ring Magazine Awards, and it was conceivable to everyone that with both men in London and Turkey LL Sheikh being there, terms for a rematch might be agreed.
There you go, ducking. Yeah, I know I seen him trying to duck around there. Yeah. Came all out here for nothing, huh? You ducking it, huh? Lupe, you done ducked it, huh? Yeah, you done ducked it. Yeah, y'all done ducked it. Stay quiet.
And things weren't looking good at first, but per veteran boxing scribe Dake Jonovan, terrific development. Still some work to be done, but also why you should never say never in boxing. The last couple of days, Ryan Garcia has expressed his aversion to letting VADA handle the anti-doping testing for a second fight, which is absolutely ridiculous what he's trying to do. He's trying to make it VADA's fault that his samples came back positive for Osterin.
He's implying it's their fault.
Or at least fool people into thinking that this was their fault somehow, when the New York State Athletic Commission's test, separate from the VADA test, that one came back positive for Osterin too, and this is all well documented. So what he's really relying on is the ignorance and stupidity of the boxing community at large to make himself seem innocent and make VADA seem guilty.
Though based on what the rumor mill is spinning, they seem to have reached a deal, and what the particulars of that deal are exactly are unknown to us at this time. But Ryan Garcia did say via his Instagram stories, two huge announcements. We are going to see who ducks what. I only do huge fights.
Huge fights for huge money. I have no doubts that Turkey LL Sheikh is paying both boys handsomely to do this rematch. One of the bigger fights you can hope to have involving young American fighters. So difficult to deal with, so difficult to iron out a deal. A silver lining, as Devin Haney stated, I guess he's not a duck, he's a goose. See you soon, bucko!
Devin wins the rematch.
It's my story, and I've been sticking to it ever since their initial meeting, ever since news broke that Ryan tested positive for a banned substance and blew the weight. I figured that in a second fight, stipulations will be in play to ensure that Ryan and Devin are on an even playing field, because it seems to me that Ryan only won because he got to cheat.
Because of the Osterin?
Never mind the Osterin, it's because Ryan Garcia didn't have to make the contracted weight of 140 pounds, and Devin Haney did. Ryan missed it by a whopping 3.2 pounds. That doesn't seem like a lot to me and you, but for a boxer who's already boiling down in weight,
That last 3 pounds, that last 2, that last 1, those are the hardest ones to lose. And if you don't bother to do it,
and the other guy does, the other guy is going to be worse for wear. Where you might feel a bit better and a bit more solid, bit more energized, the other guy is going to be depleted. You're not actually on an even playing field. So much of the focus was centered around the role of the Austrian. Did Ryan Garcia somehow benefit from that? Or what about Devin's inability to defend against the left hook?
all of which are contributing factors that need to be accounted for, but the weight too.
Devin boils down to 140, and you don't. When you land on this guy, he's not going to be able to hold a shot.
Not as good as you can because he made 140 and you didn't. You didn't drain yourself. You didn't deplete your body and your reserves the same way that he did. So when you land on him, it's going to have a more noticeable effect than when he lands on you. Devin's already not big on power.
He's not a big puncher, and he already doesn't take the best punch. You add this uneven weight situation, and it just makes it worse. I don't think that will be the case going into the second fight. I believe there may be penalties in play to ensure that Ryan makes the weight. Now, is it going to be at a contracted weight of 140? I don't think so.
I don't think Ryan or Devin can make 140 anymore. Maybe it'll be at a catch weight of 143 or 144, or maybe at a full 147, but I don't think either Devin or Ryan can make 140.
I don't think they're fighting at 140 for the second fight. No belt on the line.
No need to make 140.
Talk about adjustments. Devin Haney's adjustments, all he really has to do is tighten up. Keep the right hand high as you step in with your lead.
Keep that right hand taped to the side of your face as you shoot the left.
To defend against his left hook.
He doesn't have to change all that much because, in case you guys forgot, Devin was winning rounds.
Everybody's memory of the fight is Devin Haney getting dropped 3 times. And he did get dropped 3 times, but more happened than just that. He did win rounds.
1 or 2 more, he would have won a fight.
All he's got to do is tighten up his defense and try not to get knocked on his ass. Watch for the left hook.
It's all Ryan has.
No, I don't think Ryan Garcia wins the rematch. I don't think he wins the second fight because the second fight will be on an even playing field.
Who's promoting it?
Well, the first fight was promoted by Golden Boy. It was basically a Golden Boy promotion show. But if Turkey's paying for this one, that changes things.
Neutral terrain.
They are on an even playing field, and that's not what Ryan Garcia or Oscar De La Hoya wanted. That's why he's been trying to guide Ryan away from this rematch and in the direction of a Teofimo Lopez fight, saying that a Lopez fight is better.
No, it isn't.
Or a Lopez fight is bigger.
No, it isn't.
This fight is for bigger, better money, with a lot more backstory, and the rematch, I'm sure, is going to get a lot more attention. More than the first fight did, more than a Lopez fight would. Devin's chance for revenge. And if he gets it, they can turn this into a trilogy, because Ryan, to a lot of people, won the first one, and Devin, if he wins the second, this is going to need a tiebreaker.
The New York State Athletic Commission might have overturned the official outcome, but people saw what they saw. And to a lot of people, Ryan won that first fight.
So if Devin wins the second, we're going to need a third. We're going to need a tiebreaker.
So you know, I've got Devin on points. I've got Devin in the rematch.
And finally, as it pertains to yet another highly anticipated fight, according to the people at Boxing Scene, Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. is done. Though I myself am not that enthused to hear it, because I preferred the alternatives. I preferred Benn versus Mario Barrios and Chris Eubank versus Erislandy Lara. But the long-awaited fight between Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. has been signed. Sources have confirmed to Boxing Scene. A source close to the negotiations said, the fight is done. The fighters were due to meet in October of 2022, but Benn failed tests for clomiphene in a high-profile case and then boxed on the road as he attempted to prove his innocence in the UK, having relinquished his license with the British Boxing Board of Control. Benn fought in Florida and Vegas, defeating Rodolfo Orozco, who incidentally popped after facing Benn, and Peter Dobson. in 10 rounders while improving to 23-0 with 14 KOs. Benn, a welterweight promoted by Matchroom, is 28. Eubank Jr., on the other hand, is a boxer promoted 35-year-old middleweight who improved to 34-3 with 25 KOs with a victory over Camille Zeremata in October in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The first time around, Eubank and Benn had a fight to sell off their father's legacies. Both Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn are on the ballot for induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, but the fallout of 2022 now runs deep through both fighters and is likely to culminate at Tottenham Hotspur's Football Stadium in London, April 26th. And that's one thing I can say about this fight that's different from the beginning. That in the beginning it was just about their father's legacies and their surnames, but now it's a rivalry all their own. It's a rivalry between Conor and Chris.
Just like with the Ryan Garcia situation with Devin, the controversy only makes the fight bigger.
Damaging as all of this has been to Conor Benn's squeaky clean image and his reputation, in terms of helping to sell a fight, it absolutely does. That's more backstory. That's an even bigger stage. Though if Conor is fighting Chris, he's not fighting Mario. And if Chris is fighting Conor, he's not fighting Lara. So you have to wonder, what are those two guys going to do? Mario Barrios, WBC welterweight champion, and Arislandi Lara, WBA middleweight champion.
You know, for Lara, this was his best bet to get at a 7-figure purse, a big payday. Carlos Adames is otherwise preoccupied with Hamza Shiraz.
I don't know. Maybe Turkey can work his magic and make a unification match between Lara and Yanibek Alimkhanalai, who's been itching to pick up a third alphabet title. I would like to see that. As far as Mario, the story is that Jaron Ennis and Amantis Stanionis are going to be unifying titles with each other, leaving only Brian Norman for Mario to pursue for a unification match. But who says he wants to unify?
I don't know that Mario wants to do that.
So maybe they'll revisit talks for a fight with a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao, because I remember they expressed some interest in doing that, and if Manny's still available, well, so is Mario. Back over to Conor and Chris. It is thought that their fight will be made at 160 pounds with a 10-pound rehydration clause per IBF rules, meaning that neither fighter can weigh over 170 pounds on the night. I don't really think that weight cap is a problem for Conor, though it might be for Chris, that he can't weigh more than 10 pounds over 160 in his mid-30s. You ask yourself, is this for a title? Because if it isn't for a title, why the weight stipulations? It's because Conor Benn is naturally smaller than Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn is a welterweight. He's moving up 2 divisions for this fight. So if their weight stipulations,
It's for him and to accommodate him.
what may not seem fair to some, that the reason the fight fell apart is because of Conor and his positive test. So why should Chris have to acquiesce to this? The money.
That's the short answer.
Said it in my previous video, it's not a foregone conclusion that Chris would have beaten Arislandi Lara. That fight to me seemed like a banana skin, like a gamble. And if you go in there with Lara, you're gonna make less money than you would with Conor.
Think it through.
Give a little to get a lot, because you get a lot more boxing Conor, even with a weight cap, than you do gambling on Lara. And it seems that he has.